Welcome back, everyone, to One More for the Road, a podcast of gaming reviews and other stuff that I also do. And I'm joined, I'm joined yet again with my good friend Zig. Zig, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great. Great. It's been a great day. It's been a great week. How about you?
I'm doing just fine. I woke up from a nap like literally 20 minutes ago.
I'm so jealous. I did not get a good nap today.
Oh, it was phenomenal. It was absolutely fantastic, and I've got my cat right here next to me while I record.
Ah, perfect. The perfect setup.
Yep. Today we're going to be talking about Genshin Impact's story. This is part 2 of our 3-part Genshin Impact coverage. If you want the other podcasts are in a link in the card or in the doobly-doo for the full playlist. We left off on a cliffhanger.
We did.
We left off as soon as Yae Miko gave us our patchly sauce.
Yes, the juicy.
Give us this patch, our patchly sauce.
Yes. Which there wasn't a whole lot of. Again, these Archons keep disappointing us.
It turns out God doesn't know a whole lot.
Yeah, apparently we've come to the wrong place.
Yeah.
Again.
So yeah, they left us off on that, and then after that we got A's story quests, the Raiden Shogun story quests.
Mm-hmm.
I liked these. I know you're not.
I'm not a huge fan, but at the same time, I feel I'm not a big A fan to begin with, so not Scaramouche related. Before people start pointing fingers, she's just not my cup of tea.
Look, I get it. Look, she's very much my cup of tea. I would like to drink the entire cup.
I can't blame you. I see the appeal.
Look, I Genshin Impact, I definitely have like a type.
You do, yes.
And I'm not going to apologize.
You shouldn't.
Like, I look at, like, you know, I see Raiden Shogun, I see Shenhe, I see Yellen. Yellen?
Yellen?
Wait.
Yellen?
Yellen? Yellen. Yeah.
Yellen is Yellen.
Yeah. Sorry, that was before I really knew how we were supposed to pronounce her name. We just kept saying, wait. Yellen? I don't know why that was a funny joke. But no, so her story quests, the first one, the first one, we basically just take her out on a date and she learns how to interact with freaking normal human beings because it's been a goddamn several centuries since she's been outside.
Yeah, and I guess it's unfortunate because from videos and discussions I've heard, they intend to be very philosophical, you know, and very observant of the world and taking it all in, and it just kind of came off wrong in English. It came off as like a date simulator in English, and she kind of just came off as an airhead, which was definitely not the intention. But
I'm not upset about that.
Yeah,
personally. I kind of like the concept. Like, I understand what they were going for, and they were going for like, oh, she's so wise and has built up all this experience. But I kind of like I like the fan perception of her basically just being a hikikomori.
It does make me like her more, honestly.
Yeah,
if she's just kind of an airhead.
and you see a lot more like official art and official like stuff kind of leans into that.
Yeah, I think they're trying to take a middle road there, you know, so you can go either way.
Like the promotional stuff kind of leans into it, even if the story doesn't.
Yeah. So yeah, it does make me like her a little more. I find it funny, but yeah. So that's kind of all it was for that first one. I don't think we really got anything out of that other than getting to know her a little better.
She likes dongo milk.
She does like dongo milk.
That's about it.
Yeah, that's about it for the first half.
But her second one, that's big stuff happens.
Yeah.
And we'll get into it, but I have a theory about this. A
Mhm.
game theory.
Oh no.
Uh, so in the second one, we're told like, hey, the tree is leaking
Mhm.
or whatever, and like we have to go beat up because like a bunch of those stupid wolves keep chewing on the tree roots.
Yeah, something
And
about the ley lines leaking out.
yeah, and we go beat up some wolves, and then we run into A, and she's just beating up wolves, and we find out that what the tree is actually leaking is ghosts,
Yeah.
specifically
Yeah.
ghosts related to her past.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
And
The ley line lore.
I'm like, all right, that's cool. So we go around and we collect 3 to 4 ghosts of progressively more PTSD inducing.
Yeah. Like like I know we run into some soldiers who like think they're in the middle of a battle,
Mm-hmm,
and when she shows up, they're like the Shogun's here, and it like gives them like a rally, to go in and fight, and
mm-hmm.
it's
And then
it's crazy.
they vanish. The tea guy.
Oh yeah,
Oh my god,
yeah.
no, because she's like, okay, we got to go get a tea set. So we were like, okay,
Mhm.
I guess maybe Ayaka's got a tea set. So we
Yeah.
go to the Kamisato estate, and it's like, oh my god, the Raiden Shogun. And she's like, give me the tea set.
Yeah.
And then she makes tea, and it's probably not lethal.
Probably not. I mean, I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, because we all know she does not cook.
I mean, well, as I say, it's pretty hard to screw up tea, but then again, if she's literally not allowed to cook in game.
Yeah, so who knows? Who knows what could have happened? Um.
Yeah.
So anyway, she's been having like these weird like little migraine things or glitches or whatever,
Yeah, she's
and
like having problems.
yeah, and apparently like the puppet body is like rebelling or something.
Yeah, from what I got, the gist of it was when she built that puppet, she built it to resist all change. And she's like, I even knew that one day I would have the possibility where I would change my mind. And I made the puppet so that it would like resist me changing, so
Yeah,
that it would forever be that way. So it's resisting her changing because she is changing. We changed her mind on the whole thing.
yeah, and
Um,
well, I mean, the whole purpose of the puppet body and sealing herself inside the sword was because she was afraid that she would change through the process of
mhm,
erosion, which we talked
yep,
about on our previous podcast.
mhm.
And so, like, the puppet's doing its job. It's
Yes,
just
it's
that,
doing exactly what it's supposed to do.
yeah, it's just that the change wasn't brought around by a degradation of her personality. It was brought around by the people around her.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
So she has to go into the plane of euthymia and fight the puppet, and then she kicks us out because it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I have to do this. Get out of here. And then we're like,
Yeah.
oh, well, she.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we go to Yay Miko because whenever there's a problem, you just go to Yay Miko.
Yep. Yep. Yai has all the answers apparently.
And we figure out how to go there ourselves.
Yeah, like from what I get, Yai like kind of tells us the gist of what's going on. She's like, "Oh, she always wants to do things by herself, but go in and save my god." And Yai basically helps us get there. She's
Oh yeah,
like,
she just yeets us into the portal
Yeah, she's
herself.
like,
All
"I
right.
can get you into the portal, but you have to get there. So you have to clear your mind and focus on what you want." It was kind of like a whole other the same thing that we did initially
Oh yeah.
with Raiden. So she,
Clear
yeah.
your mind and focus on what you want. Start simping really hard.
Yes.
Remember
Yeah.
that she's got a banner up right now, and
Yeah.
it's only for a limited time.
It's almost over. So that
It's
gives us
true.
the drive to find her.
Yeah, so we go in and have, in my opinion, my favorite weekly boss.
Yeah.
Like, hands down, it's the most fun weekly boss.
I don't know. I would have to think on my favorite. I'm removing my bias. That's why it's taking me a really long time.
You're allowed to say it's Scaramouche. It's a fun fight. It's not like it's not a fun fight.
I know. I was removing my bias so I could think whether it actually was my favorite. But you know what? Yes, Scaramouche is my favorite. But the ride and fight is really fun. It's got great music. And it's got great gimmicks. And the puppet looks really, really cool.
It is. It's a very cool fight. Like I'm not going to argue with you. Like, I think it's super good.
Oh, I meant like the ride and puppet though. Like,
yeah.
She looks really incredible, her design, and it's got great music. Like everything about the ride and fight's really, really well done.
Oh yeah, like everything in the game at this point, everything in the game just continues to increase in quality, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So apparently there's like a time dilation or something, and she's been fighting for 500 years. Or
yeah. We
whatever.
get there and they've been fighting for 500 years. We're like, what? She's like, what are you doing here? You look the same. Like, we're like, it's been like 20 minutes. We just ran to get Nico.
Yeah, we just popped up the mountain. What is wrong with you?
And they're both like exhausted and like, what is going on?
so we fight the puppet. It's all super metal. Support Raiden C2. It's great.
Yeah.
I know she's like C6. I feel like I remember her being like super strong.
I can't remember. It's been so long since I've done it.
Yeah.
But yeah. She at least has her weapon.
Oh, she has to solo it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has to solo it, and then you get to like auto revive if you die.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Which I was very grateful for because
I forgot about that. That was actually really fun.
That was really fun.
That.
Oh.
I really enjoyed that. Oh, man, let us replay story moments, Hoyo, please. I beg.
It's one of the things I desire.
Oh.
Anyway, we beat the puppet. It turns out the tree was like her sister.
Yeah, this whole thing really confused me. So
all right. So follow me here, okay?
Okay.
So Makoto was like dying or something, and she's like, I must protect Inazuma and my sister. And then so she became some sort of like tree guardian and made it so she like went back in time, or like sent herself back in time in order to retroactively have always been there.
Yeah.
And hold on, now follow me here.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna talk about Irminsul later.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh gosh, time.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about Irminsul later, but I have a feeling that has something to do with this. Because because the plane of Euthymia might be outside of Teyvat.
Okay.
All right. And again, we'll get to there.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like she didn't obviously use the plane of Euthymia. She just hooked herself up to her. She just was like accessed Irminsul and was like, all right, cool. This was always here. And then Irminsul's like, yes. Because people with gnosis can do that.
Yeah. That's true. Even though
and so that's my take on how she did it, basically.
Yeah. See, I deep dive into the characters that I'm like really invested in, so I never actually really thought about how the plane of Euthymia works or done a lot of research. So forgive me, I don't know.
That's okay. The plane of Euthymia not technically being part of Teyvat is kind of like a pet theory because it explains a few minor inconsistencies. Mostly just like how we were able to discover that piece of information.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because it's only possible to have learned that if that information was stored. Actually, no, that's not true. Hold on. So okay, maybe it's not that it's outside, but it's similar to how like Nahida can store information kind of separate from Irminsul.
Oh yeah.
Maybe the planet Euthymia is capable of holding that bit of information that's like, hey, yeah, this wasn't always here. I made it, and then I made it so it was always here.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's entirely fair.
And then
plausible.
left you this little piece of information. No, okay, no, that I'm more confident in this now.
Okay, yeah, because Sumeru adds to this, and we'll get there.
Yeah,
but,
Sumeru. Yeah. So anyway, the tree was always there, and that's it. That was.
Yeah.
And A's like, I'm less depressed now.
Yes, and the
going
puppet,
back into my castle and never bother me again.
And the puppet's like, I'll let you use the body now for dates if you want.
Yes, you can go on dates with a traveler, but only Lumine.
Yeah.
Keep that gross Aether kid out of here. This midriff is being voiced by very good voice actor.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't diss the voice actor at least.
No. I couldn't think of his name off the top of my head.
Zach.
Okay, thank you. I'm like, oh god, I was like, no. Again, the VAs are all very good.
Yes. Listen to English dub and don't hate it just because it's English.
Oh, but it is not the voice of my magnificent weeb other medias. How dare
you poor babies.
Anyway, what events did we have?
Okay, so we had Labyrinth Warriors, which is basically we ran into that little paper puppet. That paper floaty pet thing that we get. And the only thing I really remember from it is like he was like trying to find his master because his master like created him, and this like domain appeared, and he's like, I gotta find my master because he would never abandon me. And we go inside with like Xinyan, and we ended up running into a child who's like plays off that he's like, oh yeah, he's our best bud as always to Xinyan, and then he pulls us to the side. He's like, yeah, I'm here hunting for Scaramouche, and so that's why he's here, and he's just like having the time of his life down in this.
Oh yeah, he's like, oh my god, an infinite battle dungeon? Yeah. Finally.
I know. So we lose him in it a couple times, and then we end up finding that, I don't know, the master passed away some time ago, something, I don't know. And then we get him as a little pet that can follow us around. So there wasn't a whole lot in that event. It was really fun, but a lot of these events don't have a lot. They either have like nothing of interest or a whole lot of lore.
Yeah, that tracks. The next one is actually something I really enjoyed.
Oh,
the Shadows Amid Snowstorms.
The yearly Albedo event, which we didn't get this year.
It's fine. We'll probably get one eventually.
Yeah, hopefully. That one was wild. There's like multiple albedos.
Yeah, and the second albedo was a big flower. Like there's whopper flowers that like got high on dragon blood or whatever, and now they can like turn into people.
Yeah, and like when he turned into albedo, he erased like the mark on his neck.
Yeah,
so that's how you could like tell that it was him.
I think like the reason he erased the mark was because he's like trying to be the perfect version.
Yeah, he's like, this shows your imperfect. Oh shoot, what are those called? Because those the Shogun puppet has it on the back of her neck. It's Scaramouche.
Oh yeah. I don't remember. There's a word for it. They have like a proper noun for it. I don't know.
We'll figure it out. Maybe Eric can slap it on the screen.
Figure it out.
I promise it'll be easier than the Storm one, Editor Eric.
Oh god, I still don't know what that is.
I'm convinced that it didn't actually have a proper name.
I feel like it did, and then I think I'm just thinking of the Senkaku decree.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
I think it's just like the decree of keep everyone the heck out, and that was just how she was doing it.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, so that's like it's a mark of imperfection because it shows that they were created. Albedo like claims that it's a kind of like a glass blower's mark. You know?
Yeah.
So which I think is cool.
I think that is very cool. And then the event ends, and then the Whopper flower is turned into some kid's missing dad.
Apparently, yeah.
Because like the event ends, and it's like, oh, we found him. We found your missing dad. He's been missing for so long.
Yeah, it's like,
and then I'm like, wait, we literally know where his corpse is.
Yeah, we like found a note, didn't we, or something that said
there's a side quest. There's a completely unrelated side
quest.
Okay,
yeah.
Where you track him down.
Yeah, that's right.
And we know it's his body because it has the kid's favorite book.
Oh, that's right.
I'm like, it's right here, man. I don't know what you want.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Nobody wants to tell this kid, but okay, well, he's adopted now by a fake albedo.
Whatever. Nothing bad will happen.
Nothing bad will happen in
nothing bad.
A couple months. Then we have the Lantern Rite, our second Lantern Rite. Nothing really happens in there, but it's really pretty.
We get the firework tube.
Well, yeah, we do. And Zhao gets a little bit closer to spending time in the city proper. And maybe this year he'll make it actually in the city.
Oh yeah, he's just menacingly hanging out on the edge.
Yes. Oh, and now we're hitting the big ones.
Oh boy, I'll let you talk about the Iodori festival because you.
Yeah. Okay.
Probably remember this. Wait. Was this the one where everyone like showed up in Inazuma?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I do remember this event then.
Yeah, it's the big one. They open up the borders. The first time they've opened up the borders since the Sakaku decree.
Mm-hmm.
And so they invite artists from all around. And from Mondstadt, Albedo shows up. He's like the main guest. And Xingqiu, Venti's there. Kazuha.
Oh my god, I forgot Venti was there.
Yeah, we find him and Miko at some point, like, eating, and they're, like, talking to another in hushed voices, and then we go up to them, and they immediately stop talking. We're like, all right,
Venti, stop being suspicious for literally one patch. I beg you.
He can't. It's in his blood.
Oh.
But throughout the Irodori festival, we kind of learn about Kazuha's past. It's a big Kazuha event, which is really unfortunate that we don't get to see it again. But it's just basically the story of the 5 Gokuden, which, to break it down, is there were 5 swordsmith families, and they were all techniques of different sword making techniques, and basically throughout time they were dismantled. Like, putting it nicely. Basically now only to exist. They've been sabotaged through the years. The Irodori Festival talks about how one sword, they were trying to make this sword and someone sabotaged the blueprints to it, and because of that, because of that, like, Raiden like banished the one of them, and it just, everything kind of fell apart. And then they find out that the blueprint, because they were like, oh, why can't these, nobody can forge the sword, and then they find out, I think it was Kazuha's great grandpa or someone knew, but he couldn't say. And he kind of hid it away. And the whole Irodori Festival is us going through and finding out that, hey, this was sabotaged. And when you dip the blueprints in water, it washes away and shows what they were.
Oh, and,
yeah. And then throughout this, we're like, Albedo's like painting each of like the Gokuden swordsmiths on a big
banner thing.
In the center of town. And
could get a. Hold on, it has. I'm sorry. I remember it. You could get a Raiden Shogun like plushie.
Oh, yep. You
and
that.
Sarah was like, "Oh my god, I must have this." And then she got one like from the Raiden Shogun.
Yeah.
And he's just like, "I don't know what this is. Here, you have it. I gotta go. I've been outside for like 5 minutes and I can't handle this."
Yeah, we get Raiden out for a little bit, and then she like sees the puppet, like the little doll, and like doesn't understand it. And she's like, "Oh, okay, here, you can have it." Just walks off.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we end up getting that as a piece of furniture too, the big thing in the middle.
Hmm.
And then the final swordsmith is, oh, it was Scaramouche, and it ended up, we found out through flashbacks and stuff that Scaramouche is the one who actually sabotaged it all.
Hmm.
And so we kind of learned that the reason for the downfall of Kazuha's family was because of him. Um, so a lot of lore, a lot of implications that happen later, which kind of makes sense why now we can't rerun that event because it happens completely differently now.
Oh my god.
Yeah, there's a reason why we can't show, like, when we splash the one that we put in the teapot, there's an actual reason now why Scaramouche doesn't appear, because he's not actually part of it anymore. We'll get there, I guess. But
I didn't even. Oh my god.
yeah. Yeah, when you look back at all the events Scaramouche was in and we can't replay it, now it's like, oh, maybe there's a reason
Oh.
why we can't replay them.
Oh man. All right. After that was uh, probably like one of my favorite areas
Yeah, I
because it's not
really
really like
like.
a event. It's more of like a because like it's an Archon quest. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think it's an interlude.
Yeah, but there was an event duct tape to it, right?
Yeah, yeah, we had, and that's what I really struggled. I couldn't differentiate event and Archon Quest. They kind of merged
I
together.
think I think the stuff in like Plato's Cave of Nonsense with Ito was the
Yeah,
event.
yeah, that was the event.
Yeah, Ito's Cave of Plato Nonsense. It's fine. Don't worry about it. So we go to the Yasm,
Mm-hmm.
which is this big hole in the ground. It turns out it's not the Abyss.
Yeah, no.
It's a
It's above
completely
the
different,
abyss.
unrelated hole in the ground. We'll get to it. Well, actually, we won't. We don't have no idea where the Abyss is.
Yeah,
Well, I guess
but
it's on that island.
yeah, yeah, it is. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Anyway.
great. We'll get there eventually. There'll be sequels.
Yeah.
We'll
Anyway,
find out.
wait a minute.
Mm.
Did we skip? Hold on. We've definitely skipped something.
What do
We
we
haven't
skip?
talked about Enkiyomiya anywhere.
Oh, that's right. Because there
Well, it's
wasn't
not.
really an event. It just kind of popped up.
Yeah. I'm like sitting here. I'm like, hold on. Somewhere in this pile was Enkiyomiya. Wait, did we talk about it?
I I think
No, we didn't.
had it at one point, and then it kind of got pushed out.
Okay, well, because Enkiyomiya definitely takes place before Chasm.
Yeah, okay, I have
'Cause
it on
that's
the outline under part 2, but I just didn't talk about it. So oops.
okay. No, it's fine. It's fine. I was just like, oh man, hold on, because I was about to say we see John again, but we haven't
That's
met John. We didn't talk about meeting John. All right, we're gonna talk about Enkiyomiya.
Yes, let's go there.
All right, so so Enkiyomiya, we go to Kokomi Island, right? And
Mhm.
she's like, oh, there's weird stuff happening in my pool. Do you want to go
Guys, my
check it
swimming
out?
pool. Something's happening in my swimming pool.
Yeah, so we dive into her swimming pool. Turns out there's a big underground hole, a big, yet another completely unrelated giant hole in the ground.
Third
Not
time's
the
the charm.
abyss.
Not the abyss, not the chasm.
Yeah,
I'm
there's.
getting-
Why is Tevat hollow?
I don't, maybe that, I don't know.
That's. We'll get to it, I guess, eventually.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess
Yeah.
we'll learn.
Yeah, so we go down there, and there's this dude who's like research. He like got trapped down here, I guess, too, and like he's researching some sort of ancient civilization that existed down here.
Yeah,
Turns
the
out that
Vishap people.
yeah, the Vishaps, who were like a dragon people.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have notes to go off of, so I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I completely forgot. I can't believe I forgot John.
I know John's my favorite. So anyway, so John, the researcher, turns out he was a Fatui harbinger, or no, not Harbinger, a Lector.
Abyss Mage. Yeah, Abyss Lector.
Yeah, he was an Abyss Lector, and Abyss Lectors are like librarians, basically.
Yeah.
Like,
But
but
John is at least.
yeah, and so we step on him, and it turns out he's way into it.
He's really into it.
Yeah,
Not even a
and so
joke.
so we're like, all right, well, don't do this again. And he's like, oh, I won't unless I want to be stepped on. And he's like the hammiest dude in the entire world, and I love him to death.
His actual name is Enjo. We just call him John, so for reference.
Yeah, Enjo, the Abyss Lector.
Yes.
But yeah, like we call him John because like he looks like a John.
He does.
He acts like one. I don't make the rules. Anyway, we fight a couple Vishaps, and then there's like a bunch of lore that hasn't been relevant yet. So anyway, Chasm.
Yeah, I think that's why I was like, there's nothing relevant there other than John.
Yeah, like there was an ancient civilization of Vaships people, and John's there.
Yeah, that's basically all we get for right now. I feel like Inkamiya is going to come back a lot, but for right now, there was nothing really in particular.
It was very pretty.
If I forgot, you can yell at me in the comments. That's okay.
Absolutely, yeah. You definitely yelled us in the comments. Anyway, Chasm, we meet Dainsleif, and we learn probably this is, in my opinion, like one of the quote unquote, I don't like using dark.
Yeah.
But it's pretty accurate. It's one of the darkest pieces of lore that we get, and it's that the Hilichurls are A, immortal, and B, are the citizens of Conria.
Yeah.
And the reason that's dark is because they're the trash mobs we've killed, like literally up to the point that you hear this. This is literally like almost, it's patch 2.7. The game's been out for almost 3 years, and you've probably killed several thousand Hilichurls.
Yeah.
Well, turns out those were people.
Yeah. And I had a feeling, like, I had a feeling that they were leading up to that, like, not that they were, like, Conrians, but, like, I felt like they're gonna tell us something that these trash mobs that we're killing aren't actually bad. I knew that was coming. I just didn't know when or how, like, what form it would take.
A lot of times, Hilichurls are just kind of vibing.
Yeah.
Like, it's very rare that Hilichurls are, like, an actual, like, active problem. Like, they tend to stay away from towns. They just kind of hang out in their little camps and fish.
Yeah. Even in, like, the lore and stuff, and, like, the cutscenes, it's always, like, the Abyss. It's never, like, the Hilichurls.
Yeah, if you see Hilichurls attacking an area, there's always an Abyss Mage.
Yeah. There's usually an Abyss Mage nearby.
Yeah, always, every single time, there are Abyss Mages.
Yeah. I never actually thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. Oh my gosh.
Turns out, game's actually pretty consistent sometimes, except when it's not.
Right.
So, John's back, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna kill all the Hilichurls. And so, like, they've all been, like, diving into the abyss, or into the chasm. A bunch of Hilichurls have. And, there's, like, sink, fountain
There's
thing.
like, it's like isn't it like it's an upside down
fountain thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And John's like, I shall activate the fountain, and it will do stuff. And then we find, like, another... There's, like, what are those enemies called? The night dudes.
Oh,
We're professionals, I swear to God.
I am a Genshin aficionado, let me tell you what.
Anyway, there's, like, these dark night dudes, and one of them's been following us around. And he, like, stabs John. It doesn't take, and he's just like, ooh, that was fun. And then he just kind of naffs off instead of killing all the Hilichurls in existence.
Yeah. And I think he was just there to get his kicks.
Look, he just wanted to be stepped on again, he's into it. It's fine.
Yeah. which is fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
it's
had that one that was not attacking us.
yeah. Well, because we weren't attacking the Hilichurls, it was just
Right?
protecting because the knights were just there to like protect the citizens of Conria, which are the Hilichurls, and so
Mhm.
obviously, that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, so as long as we don't mess with them, they won't mess with us.
And the reason John was trying to do that, he's like, "Oh, I'm going to cleanse the curse on these people because our brother, the Abyss Lord guy, he's like in charge of the Abyss or something."
Yeah. Black
And
Serpent Knights.
Black Serpent Knights, thank you.
Sorry.
And no. And he's like trying to save them, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, because apparently, we had been living in Conria up to 500 years ago, and apparently that was when we got attacked by the Heavenly Principles, sustainer of the
Yeah.
Heavenly Principles lady.
Yeah. The timeline's still wacky in my head. So
Yeah. So
we just
apparently we got to Tevat with our brother. Some stuff happened. The sustainer of Heavenly Principles was like, nah, you two, we got to get you out of here.
yeah.
And our character got, thrown, knocked out, unconscious or
Yeah.
whatever for 500 years.
Yeah, we were just asleep for 500 years, I guess.
And then we woke up on a beach, and then he apparently went and had his own video game. And
Yeah.
then at the end of it, he became the Abyssal Lord.
Oh gosh.
What a
Some things
cool
are just
guy.
like rolling in my head, with this game. It's
Yeah.
we're
And
not
then
gonna go there.
Paimon taught us how to speak the language for 2 months that we already knew how to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, no. No. If we spoke Conrian, it would make sense that language isn't what's spoken in Tevat in its
Right.
entirety. But that's a completely different thing. We'll get to it.
Yes.
Actually, this does bring an interesting question. 500 years is not long
Not
in
at
Genshin.
all. Not at all. No.
We have summonable characters that are older than that.
Yeah.
Not even just the Archons.
6,000 years old. Yeah.
Ganyu's what, 900?
Yeah, she's pretty old.
Yeah, I don't think, is Kaching an Adeptus?
No, pretty sure she's just
Human? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can never tell, especially with the Leeway characters. It's like, all right, I'm giving you coin flip odds on these.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so 500 years really is just kind of a blank in terms of that.
We have characters that are old enough that they could probably have first-hand knowledge of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't tell us.
Yeah, Zhongli is not speaking at all. As we already covered.
Dude just wants his Osmanthus wine. And he wants those who... He wants to know where those are who share the memories.
I could take you to go see them.
It's like, buddy, Venti's in the party. Now.
I think he wants everybody else but Venti.
Understand? I mean, I wouldn't want to hang out with the guy. Anyway, we're getting distracted.
Yeah, off track. Yeah.
So
Chasm, Abyssal Curse.
Yeah, I think we covered that. We go back to the Golden Apple Archipelago. It's the Mona event, finally!
Oh, yeah. Mona, Kazuha, Sinyen. Was there somebody else?
There's definitely somebody else. I don't remember.
But yeah. No.
I don't know. Anyway, it was the Mona event, and that's the important part, because we got a lot of Mona, and it made me happy. Thank you.
Yeah, though I did not enjoy all her puzzles. It drove me insane because I am a completionist.
I did not do all of her puzzles, and I basically just did the main story.
And you're probably happier for it.
I loved that event. I was thrilled. I did that event over the course of like 7 hours on a Sunday. Literally
Yeah.
the Sunday before the event ended.
No, I used a
I'm watching.
guide to
It was
clean it
great.
up, and it drove me insane. And I was
Yeah,
like, please never do that again.
Yeah, like to put this in perspective, listeners, Zig is like the 100% every event, is almost at 100% Sumeru exploration, like completionist, and I have not logged in since December.
He is a very happy casual. He lives the better life of the two of us.
Like I dolphin, like, you know, I'm not gonna say that I don't spend money in the game. Like I don't spend money on this game, by the way. But like, I don't know. I don't log in every day. I just kind of pick the game up whenever there's a patch or an event that I really want to play. Like I did the breakout event, which was super fun.
Yeah, that one was enjoyable. It was a nice break.
But like, I know that I think that's like the best way to approach this game.
I agree. Someone who does it completely differently and likes to do it differently, I think his approach is like the best approach to it.
Yeah, I don't know. This just like I could 100% it, and I have 100% Mondstadt, and I'll probably 100% Lee away.
Yeah,
but like, I don't know. I'll do that like when it sounds fun to do.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, I'd have all the Electroculus if they would give me stamina.
Yeah, we need more stamina in the game.
Can we please just give us stamina for every region? It's not gonna break anything.
No, but if they gave it to us every region, it might make us a little broken.
I don't care. Look, if you're gonna sit down and collect all the Oculus in every region, you deserve to be broken.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Okay.
All right. Like, yes. Look, it's like, oh, it's gonna make you too strong because you can stamina your way up things. Good.
Yeah.
You deserve it. You've earned it. Good job.
Yeah, if a Hilichurl can stunlock me into a lake with a frozen abyss mage, I should have an infinite stamina.
Yeah. Anyway, I loved that event. It had quality Mona moments. She's like my 8th favorite character. Which this game has like 70 characters, so that's a pretty high. Like she's on the top 10. I
enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed the first one a lot more. Just because, like we said, I'm the completionist, so it bothered me not to do it, and that's what drove me insane.
Yeah. All right.
But other than that, it was fun. All right.
Good. We have not escaped. We have not even started Sumeru.
Yeah, we need to.
We need to start talking about Sumeru. All right. So we went through the chasm. Canonically, we exited the chasm and walked directly into this fun hole we found.
Yeah.
And it turns out there's a whole country over there.
Yeah. Who would have thunk?
Yep. And there's like it's a forest and it's super nice. And we find this grumpy lady, and it turns out her name's Hypatia.
Yeah.
And she's great.
She's trying to meditate her way to speaking with the gods, I guess.
She's trying to speed run enlightenment, and she's using some magic incense to do it.
Yeah.
And it conks us right out, and we have some sort of weird tree-based nightmare. That's fine.
Yeah, we trip out and meet Urban Soul. And then it speaks to us. It says, "World, forget me," and then we wake up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the first time we hear that.
Yeah, and then we've met Tignari and Calais when we wake up. For more information on Calais, please read the manga. I mean, which you should read the manga anyway. It's great.
It is great, yes.
And we learned that Calais is someone who has Elazar, which, again, you would know if you read the manga.
Yes.
She, and I know there's a point before this, but I want to talk about Calais for a few seconds.
No, it's fine. Let's talk about
Calais. So she has Elazar, which is a disease that basically makes her like body like turn to stone, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, you like
Uh,
grow scales all over your body and they like harden and then you can't move and then
yeah, and over the course of the events of the manga, she was given to she was originally given to Dottore, the doctor,
Mhm.
who was a
Mhm.
Fatui,
Well,
and
you know.
she escapes that and ends up being hanging out with Tignari.
Yeah, Sino takes her to
Sino
Tigray.
takes her to Tignari. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
these are all characters. Again, these are characters that were in a manga that was released in 1.0.
Yeah.
Just throwing this out there. So, like, when Calais gets announced, there's like a small subsection of the fan base. It's like, woo!
Yeah.
And we're all like hyper excited for no reason. And everyone's like, what? It's just green amber. Yeah, but it's our green amber.
I didn't expect her to be playable. I was waiting for Sino. I was not expecting Calais. So it was a delight.
We
It was
were
a delight. Yeah.
pleasantly surprised.
Yes.
Anyway, we learn about Greater Lord Rukkhadevata and Lesser Lord Kusanali.
Yes.
So they are the Dendro Archon, kind of.
Yes.
Greater Lord Rukkhadevata died in mysterious circumstances, like 500 years ago. Oh
500
man,
years ago. What a funny
weirdly
number.
specific, what a weirdly specific time frame.
Right.
And then Lesser Lord Kusanali was found by the sages, and she's the current Dendro Archon.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that's all we really know about her at this point.
Calais gives us that TLDR about that.
Yeah. And then we find out that there are sections in Sumeru that are like affected by something called the Withering, which is basically like magic corruption. Like ley lines are being corrupted by something called Irminsul, which is like the world tree, and it's sick.
Yeah, and its roots are the ley lines. So Irminsul is like this giant upside down tree in the underground.
Yeah, it's yet another giant underground thing that's not the abyss.
And its roots spread out. Now, I don't know if there's just one Irminsul or several. I don't think they've made it clear yet. But I think
there's one.
Yeah, but there's like I don't know. Its roots are the ley lines. So we've run
also
into that.
It's also where the trees in the domains.
Yes.
Those trees you get your rewards from in the domains. That's Irminsul too.
Yes. Oh gosh, it's everywhere essentially.
Yeah. So like it absorbs all the memories in the world that'll be relevant later.
Yeah. So Irminsul you can kind of think of as a giant computer database, and its roots are like collecting the information to store in there. So kind of think of it as like a giant internet highway.
Yeah, and we don't know this yet, but no, I guess we can talk about it now. But like,
it's just a little relevant to kind of understand.
Yeah, it basically Irminsul is where all the world's data is stored, and changing data in Irminsul is it'll have is possible and like I said with A's second story quest, changing data inside of Irminsul changes how the world works.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that because you and I have different opinions on how that works.
Yeah, we can get to that. We'll get to that near the end.
Yeah.
We gotta speed run the first part of Sumeru though, because not a lot happens.
Well, a lot happens.
A lot happens.
There's a lot of notes here, but it's not a lot. We'll be able to. But anyways, the Dendro Archon is essentially a manifestation of this tree and its roots. So that's just the basic.
And that withering, like I said, it's there's the tree sick, and that's what's causing the withering.
Yeah, and there's no known cure. They've been trying to fix the withering, but nothing has been working. All they can do is kind of beat it back.
Yeah, they can affect the symptoms, not the cause. So we get into Sumeru City proper, and we learn that they have this cool thing called the Akasha system, which is basically like a smartphone on your ear. And adults don't dream.
Yeah. And it's like a point of pride for them.
Yeah, they're like,
Like,
we don't waste precious brain knowledge on dreaming. We have. It's like, okay, like imagine what your intolerable friend, like like who's like a utopiast, thinks
yes.
is like his perfect world. That's what these guys are. It's
Yep.
trying to say.
Yeah.
They did it. They don't waste their precious brain thoughts on trivialities. They only study.
Right. Yeah. Essentially.
Yeah. So we meet Dunyazard.
Which is the better Tepe.
Yay. Oh,
Yeah, she'll be our NPC for this.
yeah. Oh, I do want to. I did want to address something
Okay.
from our previous thing with Tepe. I know that my 10-minute aside on the Transformers movie. Look, I know the Tepe isn't like narratively equivalent, but it's just the bridge I use to get to my rant about. Like, honestly, if you think about it, like Signora would be like closer to the Optimus Prime example, but like I was just saying, I was using Transformers to point out that Genshin did it much poorer.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to say on that.
Yeah. It wasn't about killing a main character, it's just about killing a character that people care about.
Yeah. And honestly, killing Signora first would have had a lot more narrative weight.
Yeah. I didn't like her, but I agree. I think
Yeah.
I would have. But anyways. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, we meet Dunyazard, who is amazing, and our new Tepe, and we also meet Deha, who's
Her
super
bodyguard.
neat
And really hot.
Mhm. Very.
Yeah, she and Dunyazard, we learned from her that she's like big Lesser Lord Kusanali fan. She's like one of the few people in Sumeru who really likes Lesser Lord Kusanali, and she's planning the Sub-Zero's Festival, which is a celebration of Lesser Lord Kusanali's birthday.
Yeah, everyone seems to not care about her for reasons related to the academia, who are all of these, oh, we only study people. They're great.
Yeah, the same people who think it's cool not to dream. But they're the ones who set that into place.
Oh, and we also learned there's like this other god of Sumeru called the Scarlet King, which I don't have a lot of lore on.
There a lot
But
of his
I feel
lore,
like
I think, is coming.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was in the side events or not.
No, yeah, it is. There's World Quest. There is a World Quest that you should probably do.
Yeah, I did not do it.
That does explain. But basically, back in the day, there was Rukkhadevata and Scarlet King, and they kind of ruled Sumeru together. And basically, over time, through the side quests, essentially, we learn that he had he learned the forbidden knowledge and it was corrupting his people, and in order to stop it he erased his own like memories and so that he could forget it, and he basically just disappeared off of, like, we don't know what happened to him. I think it's implied that he died, but we don't really.
Yeah. He gained some sort of forbidden knowledge, and it was so forbidden, like the even just the fact that he knew this knowledge was like corrupting the world.
Yeah, people were getting infected with like Elzar like disease.
Yeah. Like, and that has a super insane implication of like there's knowledge, there's things that you can just know. Like it's a literal info hazard, like a literal cognito hazard, which I think is super neat. But like just knowing it is enough to destabilize the world itself. And I'm like, holy hell.
Yeah, it's insane. And so he like literally had to erase his memories, and so he could get rid of that knowledge in order to save everybody. And then Rukkhadevata ended up being like the only one left. And essentially through the years people didn't realize that, and that knowledge of what he did not get through to people, and so they kind of created a rift. And because of that, there's people in the desert and the people in the rainforest, and the people in the desert think that Rukkhadevata betrayed them and all of this. There's a whole aside about that. But essentially, what it boils down to is currently there's a big wall that separates the desert from the rainforest, and the people in the desert are being suppressed there, and they have this grudge. So there's kind of like this back and forth with that. It'll get resolved eventually, but that's kind of where we step in. Is okay. There's people in the desert. There's people in the rainforest. The people in the desert follow Scarlet King. The people in Sumeru follow Rikadavaba.
Yeah, and I know that just put a lot of our notes out of order, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's just kind of important because later on we'll talk about a little more about the Scarlet King, I think.
So anyway, what we actually do next is we meet Alahatham, who's the most suspicious guy I've ever interacted with.
He's just a guy. He's just a normal guy. He's just a feeble scholar, Eric.
Yeah, we'll get to that, I guess. We learn there's knowledge capsules, which are literally like boxes, and you can put learning in them.
Yeah, imagine like downloading a
like
documentary to your brain, and then you just have that knowledge.
It's a USB stick for your mind, man.
Yeah, essentially.
They have super cool divine knowledge capsules, but
you don't want to touch those because they'll make you go crazy.
Yeah, because they have God wisdom, and our stupid human brains aren't built for that, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And we learned that because when we run into Alahatham, there's like these dudes, and
they're tripping on God knowledge.
Yeah, this dude trips on God knowledge and attacks us, and Alahatham pockets the divine knowledge capsule. It's like,
yes,
it'll be a useful tool that'll help him later.
I was literally about to say that. All right. So then we get stuck in like a time loop.
Yeah. So before, we don't really know this yet, but so all of a sudden we go to bed that night, and then we wake up and we run into Dunyarzad, and we start talking about planning the Sub-Zero's festival again. And we're like, wait a minute, this is like deja vu. And then, so we go through it again, and then we fall asleep, and then we hear this loud beep. And each night we hear this beep, and we get a little bit of dialogue. And then the next day we wake up and we go meet Dunyarzad again. And by like the third day, we realize that we've entered some sort of time loop. Which,
yeah. Whew. And so anyway, we meet this sassy lost child.
Yes.
And she's starting to give us little clues and stuff.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, what do you think's going on? Like, why don't you just tell us? Like, if I told you, your mind would be blown. Like
literally.
Okay.
Hey, why don't you try walking out of the city?
Yeah. So we walk out of the city and everything just falls apart.
Yeah, it's like, huh. They use like a fog effect, and I kind of wish they would have used a more like glitch kind of effect for it. It would have been cooler, but like I get it.
Yeah, so our whole plan was like we leave the city, and Lumin ends up seeing like these little bubbles and people around, but it's like empty space. And through all of that, we end up finding like, oh wait, these are people's dreams. And it turns out that it's not a time loop, it's a dream harvest, and we are stuck in a perpetual sleep, reliving each day through a dream.
Yeah, and like real time is passing.
Each day that happens is like a day.
And so like Dunyarzad, who has Elazar, I don't know if we said that, I think you did.
We might have. But
and so she has Elazar, and she's getting sicker and sicker.
Yeah, her Elazar is worse than Kale's.
Yeah, and like she's passed out elsewhere, and then like there's like a fake Dunyarzad floating around now, like a dream Dunyarzad, like maintaining the loop.
Yeah, like it had to create this puppet Dunyarzad in order to continue the dream loop.
Yeah. And so we find out that the sassy lost child is Lesser Lord Kusanali. And she's like, you have to find the dream's host, and it's this dancer girl named Nilo.
Yeah, Nilo ends up being the host of the dream, and she's like one of the other big Lesser Lord Kusanali fans, and she's going to do this dance of the flower god, and she's going to do it on Lesser Lord Kusanali's birthday. And we end up finding that because she's the host, if we can kind of convince her she's in a dream, she can do kind of like she can like break the cycle and wake herself up and wake everybody else up. Because if you change the loop, people will realize that something's changed and it breaks the dream. So we end up doing that with her.
Yeah, and then we get out and so Lesser Lord Kusanali, who we're just gonna call Nahida because that's her name.
Yeah, she knows Nahida, so we'll just use that.
Yeah. And so we team up with her and was like, all right, so we get out of the loop. Dunyazard's dead.
Yeah, they try to make us think that she's dead.
Yeah, and then she's not.
And then so they tried to like make us think we're gonna tepe her, but they didn't. So
I honestly think that's like
cheap.
It was a little cheap. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I'm like, it would have had a lot. I wouldn't have. I'm glad that she's alive, but at the same time, it feels a little cowardly. It feels a little cheap.
Yeah, because we broke the loop and Dunyazard like died in the dream. And then fake Dunyazard, we had like a goodbye with her, and it was like I was emotional.
Yeah, it definitely made me emotional.
And then turns out she didn't die, and I was just like, ugh.
Nahida supposedly held on to her consciousness and was able to keep it alive until the dream ended. So, but I think we'll see her. We'll probably be seeing more of her again, and that's.
I'm glad she's around. I'm just mad. I'm just mad they did that.
It makes it feel like they're playing a little bit they're a little afraid to actually kill characters off.
They're afraid to kill her off because people liked her.
Yeah.
No one gave a dang about Tepe.
Yeah, they like Senora.
Yeah.
I don't think Senora was ever supposed to live. I think maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And again, it cheapens what they did earlier as well, and I'm a little mad about it. I don't want to dwell on it though, because we have I could rant about that.
I agree, for a while. But I agree with you.
Yeah. So we find some lady
who works at the academia.
Yeah. And we apparently just decided that psychological torture is a thing we wanted to do today. And we used Nahida's super cool possession powers to possess random passerby into gaslighting her into helping us and change her religion.
Horrible. It's so horrible.
It's,
I like it, but it's horrible.
It's really funny. But also it's objectively oh my god, what was I just a part of?
We went there and we played it off as not a big deal, but you think about it and it's a really big deal.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah, so
she takes us, she's like, okay, so after we gaslight her into helping us, she's like, okay, I can get you into the academia and our whole plan is to figure out why the heck the sages were harvesting dreams. We make plans to meet up with her, and it's too quiet, even though it's dead in the middle of night. And we get up to the academia, and there's a whole crowd of people there, and Dottore shows up. And
he's just
he's oh yeah, my plan was a success. And we learned that he was number 2 because apparently Paimon can read character cards.
Right?
Yeah. And so he sicks those people on us. We run off. Nahida takes control of them and breaks them out of his cycle. And he just about captures her, but she manages to get away.
Oh, she's in Catherine's body at this point.
Oh yeah, I should point that out. Yeah, whenever Nahida meets with us in the real world, she has to take control of Catherine's body because her real body is locked away in the academia.
Yeah.
So we learned Catherine's a puppet at that point too, officially.
Yeah, it's not just my massive conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
it was real. I'm so glad that's canon. I'm so glad I caught that early.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I'm like, wait, what's his keyhole? Like, I was just randomly like, I just happened to get the camera behind her one day, and then
Yeah.
I found that other people also thought this. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm
Yeah.
not.
And
I thought I was smart.
if you stand beside her like for a while, she goes error.
Yeah, or
But
rebooting.
yeah, that one too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we reconvene. She manages to get back to us,
Hmm.
and we run into Hypatia, who's now at Partis DI, which is where kind of Tignari hangs
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah,
He'll
yeah.
come in. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, you guys, I finally made contact with the divine." And we're like, "Oh, that's cool." She's like, "Do you remember that promise I made you?" Like, no, but I'm glad you're okay. Well, come on, no, I can take you to the divine too. Here, smell some of this incense that made you pass out the first time, remember? And
Uh-huh.
so so she burns some of that incense and we pass out, well, like kind of again, and it turns out that the divine consciousness that she made contact with was my boy, Scaramouche.
Yeah,
So
so they've been like making Scaramouche into a god of some kind, so that's kind of neat. And
yeah.
Hypatia's gone a little nutty, and I'm like, interesting. Are you like, you need like a head pet?
Yeah.
Clearly.
She's like really into her god.
I mean, understandable.
I mean, understandable. Yes.
Anyway, the academia sends some dudes after us, but this time with spears. And
Mhm.
so Nihita is in Catherine again and gets Catherine stabbed,
Yeah.
which was in the trailer, and I was like, oh my god.
They're doing really good with deceptive trailers, by the way.
They
But
are.
that's
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah. She gets stabbed.
She gets stabbed. We see the boy.
Yeah,
And
we
then,
see where Nahita's at. We see where she's being held.
oh yeah,
Um
and then we find out the reason we go down to see Hypatia is because apparently Dottore wanted her for something.
Yeah, like, I don't know, Tignari's like we meet up with Tignari when we're running away,
Hmm.
and when we switch back with Nahida, all of a sudden we're running and Tignari's, like, grabbing our hands. He's like, "Yeah, I came to see Hypatia because I heard she'd gone crazy," and he tells us basically that he ran into Dottore, and Dottore is like, "Hey, I know things. I'm a doctor. Let me take Hypatia because she's clearly in need of medical attention." And
Medical
Tignari
attention. Got it.
and Tignari's like balls of steel tells Dottore, "No, leave this place." And Dottore surprisingly is like, "Okay," and leaves.
Hmm.
And but yeah, we know Dottore now wants Hypatia for some reason, and they just say she's seen something that she wasn't supposed to see. And I don't think we ever learn why they actually wanted her.
I
Yeah.
think it's mostly because she was she somehow connected to Scaramouche, and they were like, "What the hell?
Yeah, so maybe they were
How did
just
that
they didn't
happen?" And
maybe
they
they
were
just
just.
didn't want her saying anything about Scaramouche.
I think it's less that, more Dottore is just like, "Oh man, I gotta see what the heck makes this
Yeah.
sick."
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so
Yeah.
okay.
So
That's fair.
we schlep off to the desert and start hanging out with all the cool people over there, like
Sign
Sino
no. We
and
basically reconvene with everybody.
oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Everyone's over
yeah.
there.
Yeah, because the whole deal is we need to get Nahida out, but Nahida can't come, like, she can't talk to us because Dottore now has her on lockdown and he's paying attention to what she's saying. So
Hmm.
she can't talk to us. So we got from her clues that we have to go to the desert. So we go to the desert and we join up with like the entire crew, Daya, Sino, Alhaitham, and basically that the whole schlepping around, the whole goal of that is to recruit like some desert mercenaries.
Yeah.
To our side.
So we do some side questing. We find out the academia is tracking us through the Akasha.
Thanks, Sino.
Yeah.
uh,
We at this is the point where we get the Scarlet King lore dump from
yeah,
earlier.
yeah. Um,
and we discover that yeah, the Academia's plan is basically make Scaramouche into the new god of Sumeru.
yeah, because
They don't like Lesser
Kusanali,
Norg. They don't like Kusanali for
they
reasons.
yeah, basically Azar's like she's a child. I guess we're gonna learn that here why he doesn't like her, but I'll just spoil it ahead of time. It's like, oh, but what? How could a child be a god? And he's like, she was acting childish, and like, well, you never gave her an opportunity to learn,
Yeah,
so she's
well,
just basically been stunted and locked away for 500 years.
yeah, well, I mean, it's also that like they're like, oh, we lost our old god of wisdom, and this new god of wisdom isn't. She doesn't have wisdom. How can she? That she's different.
Yeah, yeah, it's basically like Kusanali's not Rukkhadevata, and she's not acting like Rukkhadevata, so they're like, well, we can just
We'll
make a
build
new
our
god.
own. I'll build my own Ruka Nevada with
Which on a
blackjack and this random kid I found on the street.
which an aside there, I think it would have been hilarious if they would have had to deal with Scaramouche as their god. That I don't know. I think that would have been a real good punishment for
I
them.
mean, they got like 5 minutes of that. It was great.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so
Anyways,
we
yeah.
come up with a
So that,
plan with oh, what's her name? The Yu-Gi-Oh character.
oh, Candace.
Candace. Yeah, Candace
Yeah.
and Deha and Sino, and we're all hanging out in some random dude's house.
Yeah,
And we make a plan.
Alhaitham
Oh, and
comes up
Alhaitham's there? Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one that comes up with this 5D chess plan.
I love this plan. It's there's so many good misdirects in it.
Oh, it got me a couple times, which
Mhm.
I found impressive because this game is pretty heavy-handed with its story at times.
Yeah, so the Fatui try to take Hypatia again. We stop them and talk to the boy a little
Yeah,
bit more.
which that part was really funny because like we were like, okay, we gotta go back because they're after Hypatia. Um, so we run to see if she's okay, and when we touch her, Scaramouche enters our consciousness because he was like he felt us touch her,
Mhm.
and we're like, hey, we try to be like, hey, Dottore is coming for Hypatia. Like, don't you think you ought to stop him? And he's like, you are very bad at like drawing discourse. You're lying to me, but I'll do it anyways. And he left. He like left and then like summoned a lightning storm and killed all of Tottori's men.
Which was super dope.
It was super dope. Poor Tignari got struck in the process, but
Ah,
it was
whatever. He's fine.
yeah, he is fine. But I just thought that was funny. He's like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'll nuke them all.
So
Um,
Dottore, speaking of which, he leaves Sumeru on a boat
on a
to
boat,
go
yep.
somewhere, even though we're
Back to
not allowed to do
Snezhnaya.
that.
Yeah, he's been summoned back to Snezhnaya by the Tsaritsa.
Yeah, which I guess you can get to by boat from there.
Yeah, apparently. I have no idea where Snezhnaya is, but apparently by boat.
Yeah.
And okay, yeah, this is where Alhaitham's plan starts to come into play. We're like, we're gonna get in the academia, and we're going to. I don't know how we should go about this.
Yeah,
Essentially, his
so basically we go into the head sage's office and we get thrown in a box or something.
yeah, we get thrown in jail, and
Yeah, and then
Al-
Alhaitham like freaks out and tries to use like a divine knowledge capsule to
yeah, he fakes
super yeah.
he fakes the Zara out. He didn't actually use it, but his Akasha turns red, and he uses that as a distraction, and he throws himself on the table and switches out some knowledge capsules because it's
Yeah.
Yarga something day. It's
Yeah,
the day they put all the knowledge capsules into the Akasha, so they're basically updating the terminal.
yeah.
So he put some fake capsules in there for them to update.
Yes. When it's got a virus or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it tells them that Kusanali escaped, so all the guards go running off, and it's basically all of it goes off, and then we're able to get Nahida out.
Yeah.
Because we need her help to defeat the boy.
Yeah. And so we do that, and then we go into the big factory that they're making the boy some sort of big god body.
Yeah, big robot body. And we enter into a fight, and it turns out that Nahida threw us into another like little loop, and we fought him 168 times, which we got our butts kicked 168 times. We lost every single time.
Yep.
But I did want to side note, which was something I thought was really cool. Like 168 is exactly how many ascension materials you need to take a character from level 1 to level 90. And
Oh.
yeah, and his ascension material is the divine knowledge capsules. But we learned that he never got any divine knowledge capsules inserted into him. So we just basically fought a level 1 Scaramouche and lost 168 times.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah. So I found that really cool that he was essentially that number was very significant.
Yeah,
Like,
so anyway,
oh,
we get the Gnosis out of him,
mm-hmm.
and now we have 2 Gnoses, so we can go fix the tree.
Yeah, we gotta go fix the tree like immediately because things are going crazy.
Yep, and then so we go and we have another emotional breakdown,
Yes.
where Nahida erases the knowledge that Greater Lord Rukadavada ever existed.
Yeah, because Rukadavada knew like about the
She got
forbidden
the
knowledge.
forbidden knowledge, and that caused a bunch of problems.
Yeah, and the only way to get it out of the system was to erase herself, and kind of the way Deshret did. But it was because she is the avatar of Irminsul, it was already like in the tree. So the
Yeah,
only real way to get rid of it is if she never existed.
yeah,
So
and she couldn't erase herself, so she needed to make Nahida to erase her.
yeah, so she plucked Nahida, she plucked the purest branch from Irminsul and kind of regrew it, and that became Nahida.
Yeah.
Um,
And then she did it, and then no one remembers Greater Lord Rukadavada except for us.
yeah. Uh,
So that's neat.
yeah, that's
And that
great.
yeah, and Lumine's like, what the hell? I don't what? Huh? Huh? What?
Ye
Huh?
So we have to keep our mouths shut because if we talk about it, we
Some
might will
bad
it back into
yeah,
existence.
basically. Uh
um,
anyway, we come back from Irminsul and
we
Dottore.
immediately get knocked out by Dottore. Yeah, he uses
Yeah.
something that knocks people out. Um, and essentially, he and Nahida have a little heart to heart. Not really. We learn that Dottore has segments of himself, and that he made copies of himself at different ages throughout time, and the Dottore we saw leave was just a different segment. And this one's been hanging out here the whole time, I guess watching us beat up Scaramouche and then take off for with a bottle of pop and some popcorn.
Yeah.
Um, and then so in order for he wants the Gnosises and Nahida doesn't want to give them. So they make a trade, and he trades his segments. He erases his segments, and she gives him the Electrognosis. And then he trades knowledge with her for the Dendronosis.
Yeah,
So
and he specifically brings up the fact that the sky is fake.
yeah, that comes back.
Yeah, so he gets both Gnoses. So yet again, we're just so good at keeping those out of the hands of the Fatui.
Yeah.
So we wake up and there's a party and Nilo dances some more and it's great.
Yeah. And then we get our post Archon quest lore
Sauce!
dump.
I love the
Yes,
sauce.
the sauce comes back from Nahida.
Oh my god, it's so spicy and delicious.
Yeah.
Pepper sauce.
We actually learned some stuff for the first time.
I know, right? Oh my god, she's the best. That's why Nahida's the best Archon, because she actually knows stuff.
And she actually shares it.
Yeah. So Nahida disabled the Akasha. And sages went to they got naffed off to the forest to help the
Just
desert
help,
people.
well, Well, yeah, they're in the forest doing community service, and then Nahida says that she wants to help the desert people,
Oh,
and
okay.
so that's
Oh, there's a
yeah, that's
period there. Okay,
yeah,
I'm misreading
it's
the
a
notes.
it's a very small period. So,
Yeah.
so her goal is to bring the desert people back.
Yep. She adopted Scaramouche.
Yep,
He is her new
her
son.
son. Yes, she has
Yes.
him locked away somewhere and
He's in a
tucked into
box.
bed.
Yeah, he needs his nappies and a warm milk.
Yes, yes.
Apparently the Hydro Archon is insane, so that's fun.
Yeah, can't wait to meet her.
I'm very excited. I think we've seen a design.
We've seen leaks, yes.
Yeah.
We may have seen a design or two. And she looks,
I love the leaked Fontaine designs. I don't
uh,
want to talk about leaks too much, but oh my god, they look so good.
they keep getting better and better. Like Sumeru was the best so far, but now it looks like Fontaine might top that
Yeah.
with character design.
And then we learned that we are one of a group of people called Descenders
Mm-hmm.
who exist outside of the normal rules of Tevat, and we're specifically the fourth one?
The fourth or the third?
I think there
think-
are four. We are the third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But our sibling isn't.
Yeah, and that's interesting. Anyway, the Descenders don't exist inside of Irminsul, which is why we have knowledge of what was erased
Yes.
from Irminsul.
Right. Yeah.
And erasing and again, erasing Greater Lord Rugadavada from Irminsul erased her from existence. Like she never existed in reality.
Right. Yeah. No one will remember her because she just did not exist.
Yep.
But we remember her because we are not from Tevat. So those
And
rules
Irminsul.
only apply to people in Tevat.
Exactly. So Nahida gave us super cool things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it turns out, yeah, our sibling is not a Descender. Technically, he's in Irminsul, but his recording started in Conria.
Yeah.
So here's my conspiracy theory on this. I think that he is technically a Descender, but was somehow added into Irminsul.
Yeah. That's what I'm feeling.
That's like I don't know how, I don't know what kind of mechanics, but that's what makes the most sense.
Yeah. Something's fishy here, and I'm reluctant to feel out exactly yet.
Yeah,
But
we don't have
something-
any information on it.
Yeah, but I am among your mind that he was a Descender, but something with time and something with Irminsul got messed up.
Yeah. But
Something.
the problem is we weren't around, so we don't have any way of fact checking it.
Yeah, we really need to talk to Deansleaf again. We really need to talk to Deansleaf and our sibling again.
Yeah,
like our sibling never talks to us, but at least Deansleaf.
We need some sort of interaction with them. Anyway, then we get the interlude.
Yeah, so
Some stuff goes down.
So if Irminsul wasn't confusing enough as it is,
Guess what? It gets worse.
it gets worse.
So after a bit, we check in with Nahida, and it's great. There's a couple guys outside of Nahida's house, and they're like, "Hey, read our paper." And so
They're
they
really
give
long
us
papers.
literally just like 20 pages of just text that I didn't read.
Yeah, like
Straight up, I didn't read
all
it.
this Tartarusuna lore that's
That no one cares about. But
like
whatever.
the one dude wrote it like a novel and the other one wrote it in facts, but by the time you get to the short and sweet one, you're already burnt out from the other one.
Yeah. And Scaramouche just is kind of wandering around like a normal guy, just having a great time.
Like he's not a war criminal in this city or anything.
Yeah. So we go up and say hi to Nahida. It turns out she's having him do community service.
Yeah.
And his next job is he's gonna go hang out inside of Irminsul, and he's gonna take a poke around.
Yeah, she wants him to go into Irminsul and search for information on us and our siblings. And the reason she wants him to do it is because he's a lot more familiar with it.
Yeah.
Because of his connection before.
Yeah, because he specifically got plugged into it. And so we go in with him because why not? We're not doing anything important.
Yeah, Nahida wants us to babysit him for some reason, I guess. I don't know. We find out why, but
and he conveniently stumbles across something. So convenient. Actually, okay, so we know Nahida specifically put it there. We find earlier. But he finds a little bit of knowledge about his own past, finding out that Dottore basically set up his entire tragedy.
Yeah, everything that the major turning point in his life was losing his one friend who he thought he abandoned him and took off, but it turns out Dottore just killed him and told him that he abandoned him, and basically set the course of his life on straight to the Fatui, so Dottore could get his hands on him.
Yeah,
but Scaramouche is like, yeah, whatever, that doesn't matter. But inside, he's like screaming.
Yeah. So he does a Google search, finds out basically the stuff we already know.
Yeah.
And then he makes a cool little bubble because he wants to have a conversation with us, and he asks us to hold
our hands.
He wants to hold your hand. And and he's like, "Hey, can you erase the past?" And we're like, he's like, "Got it." And so he tries to erase himself.
He's like, okay, thanks, and then just leaves and goes to like plunge into Irminsul. He basically erases his existence in front of us.
Yeah, and he's doing this because he's trying to save the crew that he's trying to basically prevent all of the disasters that he's made.
Yeah,
and undo that.
Yeah, he thinks that if he can erase himself from existence, the Tartarasuna crew, the ones that he felt was his family, would
and that
be
he
alive.
Felt that their deaths were his fault.
Yeah, he felt like him being involved in their lives is what killed them. So he's like, hey, if I erase myself from existence, I give them a second chance at life. Which is my big nitpick because everybody got that wrong again. It's not an easy way out for him. This is not a decision that he made because he's like, oh, I don't have to pay for my crimes. This is if I even have the slimmest chance of saving the people that actually cared about me and that I actually cared about, then my existence is not and void. I will give that up for them.
Yeah, and if you disagree with this interpretation, please tell us about it in the comments below, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, Zig will fight you in the comments. I won't.
Yeah.
Zig will. And,
I will.
And please do. I would love to read that. But I'm not letting you rant for 2 hours on this topic.
No, I'm done. I'm done.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, Nahida's like, hold up. So she turns Irminsul on and off again.
Yeah.
Or off and on again. And
she runs to hit the emergency button.
And then she tucks us into bed, but it's too late. And the boy's already gone. And then Paimon just starts talking about food, and then
she's so anxious. She lists she's like, let me list my favorite things, and then halfway through she just forgets, and then we're like, uh-oh.
So we're the only ones who remember Scaramouche exists, and we're like, and Paimon and Nahida are like, the heck's a Scaramouche?
Yeah.
And so we naff off to Inazuma, and we're like, all right, what's different now? It turns out everyone's still dead.
Yeah, he didn't change anything.
Yeah, nothing's changed. Like the action. So, and basically, we learned that you can erase like your people's memories of you, but actions still happen. Like actions that you took still happen. Like things that occurred still do, but that task gets assigned elsewhere.
Yeah, it just gets reattributed to someone else. So in this case, Dottore, who is disguised as Escher. So like this dude is now the person who did it, just not Scaramouche. So it's still
So everything still happened, and so basically everything that Greater Lord Ruggitvada did now gets attributed to Nahida, and even Nahida thinks that she's the one who did all of that. Even though if
Yeah.
you think about, even though I'm pretty sure if she thinks about it for too long, she's like, oh yeah, there was that time that I gained the forbidden knowledge and died.
Yeah.
Wait, like I would love to see that get reconciled, but that's a
Yeah.
completely different thing. We haven't touched it yet, and
Yeah.
even
we'll get there.
Nahida, even at this point, well, okay, not yet, but we'll get to it. But
Yeah.
so we go to Inazuma, we go wander around, try to collect like, okay, what's the new lore? We have to update the
You have to
lore
read my
books. So we go back to Nahida and it's like, hey, I have bad news.
She's like, hey guys, what's up?
She's like, and we're like, well, you remember that dude that you had doing community service? No? Well, that's why we're here.
Yeah, because she says we explain like the whole turn of events, and she's like, yeah, I remember that mech, but like the boss fight of Scaramouche, but there was no one inside, she said, like when she got there. So like, it's gone. There's like nothing left.
Yeah, but then she found a cube, and the cube has secret memories.
Yeah, a storybook.
So it turns out that if the memory, you can store information that's resistant to change from Irminsul, but it has to be put in allegory.
Yeah, as long as you can kind of skirt the rules of Irminsul, as long as you talk about non-specifics or use it as like a story. So with the stories, it has to be like, she kind of wrote it like a storybook, so which kind of opens up some implications. Where like storybooks can actually be recording past histories that may have been erased before we got there. So as long as it's told in a nondescript sort of way, you can get around like the Irminsul.
Yeah, and that brings up that does have that implication of any lore book could have been canon even if it contradicts current world events.
Yes. So through that, she was able to make Scaramouche's story into like a little storybook, and when it was very adorable and very sad. But that unlocked his memories, which she says that the sages created a backup of his memories in case of emergency, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
So she has his memories, which I have my own thoughts about, but we'll talk about that. So she has those.
Yeah, so we go and we are like, okay, I need like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Too much happened. I need to take a little walk.
I need a coffee and a walk. So we wander off, and then we realize that no one's completely erased.
Mm-hmm. Because Rukkhadevata needed Nahida.
Yeah, and so therefore the boy has to be somewhere. Like, you have him written everywhere in the notes as it's the italics in bold, the boy.
Capital B.
So Scaramouche has to exist somewhere, and it turns out he's right there.
He's literally like 5 feet from us.
How convenient! He's got some new clothes.
Yes.
And he is literally the worst fruit salesman of all time. And I love that. That's the funniest thing I've ever seen. It's like he just decides he wants to be the worst at being a salesman.
It's so cute. I'm sorry. I love Wanderer pre-Scaramouche memories because he's just so
it's very funny.
Lost. He's just like this lost little puppy. He's like
hi. we stalk him and he's like, hey, go
You've
away.
Been stalking me. Why?
Stop. And we're like, hey, are you lost? Are you wandering? And we take him to go see his Aunt Nahida.
Yes. It's like, Nahida, look what we found. It's just like, cool. Who's this small lost sassy child?
Why did you bring in a random stranger? Did he clean his shoes? Did he clean his shoes?
Did you kidnap that young man? Take him back to his parents.
And so we're like, no, this is the Scaramouche we were talking about. You remember with the story? She's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so do you want to see your memories? He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, sure. He's like, what kind of? He's like, she explained to him like his situation. She's like, so you're you, but there was another you.
Yeah,
And
she
he's
refers to it as like a past reincarnation.
yeah, a past incarnation. Yeah. So she's like, you had another you, and like he's like, oh, what was my past incarnation like? And everybody just looks at each other awkwardly, like,
Yeah,
do
it's
you want to
like
find out?
basically you were evil, just
Yeah.
straight up. And so he is like, oh, I want my memories, and I want to take responsibility for this me that I was. And then he gets a dope vision, and then he beats himself up.
Yes. Yes. So that whole thing was we took him through his memories, and at the end he was like, you know what? I am going to take responsibility for what I've done and who I am. Give me my memories back. And he was like, well, it'll erase who you are and like you'll become yourself again. He's like,
Hmm.
let me do it. And then we get our first playable character getting their vision scene, which is really cool.
Yeah, and it's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets his memories back. He beats up his old
So,
self, and Nahida adopts him, and then we get to name him whatever we want, which is a
yes.
mistake.
Yes. I won't talk about how big of a mistake I think that was for that.
It's like, I get it. It's
Mhm.
it's okay. Here's my blazing hot take of the day. If we were
Okay.
if we're allowed to name him in the story,
Hmm.
why is he not a welfare unit?
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, if he's that, I feel like he's very integral to
I
like moving forward.
I think so too because um he basically says I I'm gonna be your shadow to Nahida. He's basically gonna be doing Nahida's dirty work for her
Which
behind the
I'm a
scenes.
big fan of Nahida basically having her own like evil ninja.
I
Like,
know.
I'm a big fan of her being like sinister at some point. I think
I
it's the
am
funniest thing in the world.
a huge fan of this combination. But yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like I wish they would have given us presets, like a list of like names or something. I do not like that they gave us the option to pick because A, it happened and I was having a mental breakdown in the middle of it because I couldn't decide what I wanted it to be. And
Yeah.
B,
Well, it
people
comes
are
out of
just being
nowhere.
really
And I'm
and
like,
people are very
wait,
flippant about it. And I'm like, ugh,
I mean, I've seen some named Taco Bell.
yeah,
I mean, mine's named John Hatman right now because
yes,
I couldn't come up with anything better on the spot.
yes, and he wouldn't ask me. So
Yeah. Well, yours is Fujin.
Fusion, yeah, the Japanese wind god, which is kind of what his inspiration was. The Raijin and Fusion, which Raiden was obviously Raijin, the
Yeah.
Electro, and so it fit him.
No,
Um,
yeah, and you do get a like an item says that lets you pick a better name
yeah,
later,
yeah,
which is nice.
and
But like,
it's just like, and I know I'm being like biased, where I'm like, oh, I'm really annoyed with people who are flippant about it, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know.
I feel like he's a character that's going to be extremely important. It's just going to be really weird later for people who don't care and
Yeah, and
just were like they just named him, Steve Jobs or whatever.
yeah, but whatever people
I don't
think.
know. That was my
Yeah,
initial off the cuff name. That's kind of odd. Anyway,
but yeah, I like it that I like that combination of him and Nahida. I think it's going to be a nice combo to see in the future because I feel like we're going to get into some serious shit, and her having him to be like the front lines is probably going to be important.
yeah. And there you go. We're caught up.
Yeah,
The interlude made Immersol even more confusing for no reason. And
yeah.
that's where we are in the story. And I feel like probably around the time 4.0 comes around, we'll do another one of these.
Yeah, we'll have to. I feel like we're gonna start seeing a speed up in story, like because Sumeru was like as much lore as we got from Liyue, Mondstadt, and Inazuma, like combined. And I feel like that's gonna be kind of a trend.
I feel
But
like
yeah, Sumeru's like region of wisdom, so maybe not.
I feel like this might just be like the new standard as opposed to like a gradual constant increase. I feel like we're just like, and we talked about this in, I don't remember which of the previous Genshin podcasts. We've talked about Genshin for 6 hours on this channel now at this point. And like I believe that the overall quality of the game and the density of the lore is going to probably maintain this level now that like they're finally able to take the massive budget that they've gained and put it back into the game.
And I think we were kind of working towards this too for Irminsul. I feel like Irminsul was like a big plot point that we needed to get to for other things to start fitting into place.
Yeah, so, like I mean, it's the only like now that we have Irminsul, a lot more of Inazuma makes sense.
Yeah.
Which I am pretty happy with. But we have a few more little bits.
Yeah.
What's this about the Battle Pass cutscene?
Oh, so in the beginning we get that Battle Pass cutscene with like the prince and the princess, and like the princess goes off. Well, now that we know that allegories can contain real life stories, I just think it has new implications for the twins, especially.
Oh God!
Yeah. So I don't know, but after we finished Sumeru, I was like, this kind of hits different.
And we see that every single battle pass. Yeah. So they've been shoving that story down our throats for years at this point.
Yeah, so I feel like something's up with it now.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, the story assumes the default choice of Aether because Lumine is the evil one, but evil Lumine's, you know,
hot. I mean,
hot. Yeah, yeah. I mean, what? I mean, huh? Anyway, Lumine's just better in both roles. I'm sorry, Aether.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Aether.
Sorry, Zach. Lumine's just good.
Listen,
can we just have 2 Lumines?
Yeah, can we? Why couldn't it be just 2
Lumines? There you go.
Opportunity.
And then so then you also have something about the Archon statue in Sumeru.
Yeah, I just threw that down because like I wanted to ask you, like, because I know in the beginning it asks us, it's like, so who do you think this statue is? Is it Rukkhadevata or I mean it's Kusanali?
It's clearly Nahida.
But is
right?
Yeah, so, but why? Because I know that, like, why would it be Nahida? Now, we do learn in the Scarlet King and Rukkhadevata thing, when Rukkhadevata was, she ended up, like, with the appearance of a child. Do you remember that? She gave up her power.
Form. Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, but I feel like she was the Archon
before
that.
What are the statues?
Yeah. So, like, with the statues, it kind of messes me up a little bit.
Like, hold on. What lore do we know on the statues of the 7, other than that they're statues and they have some form of element? Like, there's definitely, like, an elemental power attached to them. But, like...
Yeah, and it's related to the Archon itself, because Venti says when we got the power of Animo in the beginning, Venti tells us that he felt us take the power of Animo.
Yeah.
So it has to be like related to the Archon, but I don't think there's really any.
Oh, that's actually really interesting.
Yeah.
I forgot about that tidbit because that means A knew a lot more about what we were doing early in Inazuma.
Yeah.
Unless she just wasn't paying attention, which is
unless it's connected to the Gnosis, because it seems like Yai knew, and Yai was the holder of the Gnosis.
Oh,
so are they maybe connected to the Gnosis, and do they change? And if they change, because like Rukkhadevata was Archon before she had the child.
I wonder. Yeah, I wonder. I wonder if the statue does update.
But people don't remember it because maybe they're connected to Irminsul. or something.
That's a really interesting concept.
Yeah.
The last bit is just I wanted to take a stab at the fact that Matt Pat's really bad at talking about Genshin lore, but he gets paid for it anyway by Miyoho, and I'm not jealous.
They probably just offered him a lot of money. He's like, I'll take
I'm really
a stab.
jealous.
His latest video was good.
Yeah,
but his
Look,
lore video was not good.
Look,
Sorry.
I know it's popular. I know it's popular to dunk on Matt Pat, but I really do like 70% of his output.
Yes.
Like I'm gonna put that, like, the dude is living his dream life, and I will never put someone down for doing that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But not. His Genshin, his first 2 Genshin videos were.
His first one wasn't terrible. The second one.
The second one was pretty poorly researched.
Yeah. If you played the game, you do. But
yeah,
it's okay.
which it's fine. Like, look, the dude does not have the time. Yeah, the dude has been brain rotting on FNAF for literally like most of a decade at this point. I can give him a break.
Yes. I found that point funny.
It's gonna be really funny, like, in like a year and a half, where whatever his point was in that video is just gonna accidentally become canon.
I know.
And then I'm just gonna scream.
I have to rewatch it because I don't remember what it was about. I just remember.
I think it was the Paimon's the villain.
Oh, okay.
Bit. And okay, I get it. I understand. Wait, was that? I don't remember at this point. Like, I get that concept. I get that theory. Like, Paimon's the villain because Celestia is clearly the villain.
Yeah.
But that's, maybe we're running out of time this time, and maybe we'll do another one of these so we can talk about our wild game theories.
Yes, because I have thoughts about this game, but I need to.
Yeah, I feel like
together.
I feel like taking some time to slap some thoughts together, and do like a wild conspiracy theory episode would be better. So come by for part 3 of our 2-part story review of our 4-part Genshin.
Yeah, if you want to hear that, comment down below. You're gonna get it anyways, but
yeah. I'm still knee deep in my research for my Drakengard videos.
So excited
I'm really upset that people keep telling me that, because they're not going to be as good as people are thinking they're going to be. They're not going to be good videos. But whatever.
Listen, if we came here for quality.
Yeah, shout outs to people who listen to this whole thing. Like, if you've listened to this whole thing, I really do appreciate it.
If you're one of the 5 people, we appreciate you.
Yes, you're my favorite person.
Yes.
And so anyway, Zig, thanks for being on this as always.
Yeah, thank you
I love having you.
I love talking about Genshin, and I love just chatting. It's always a joy.
It is always a pleasure. Everyone, thank you for listening. This has been One More for the Road, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Hey, Zig.
Hey, Eric.
Celestia is big.
No!